Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into the world of job hunting, career changes, all that. It's a jungle out there, right? And we've got an expert guide for you today. Richard Nelson Bolles, his book, What Color is Your Parachute? It's a classic, but man, some of the stuff in here, really eye-opening.
Eye-opening is putting it mildly.
Like, did you know that the average person born, say, between 1957 and 64, they'd had job hunt, get this, like 17 times by the time they hit 48?
17.2 to be exact. And that's just the average. Bolles paints a vivid picture of this constantly shifting landscape. A lot has changed, especially since, the 2008 downturn.
So what's different now? I mean, aside from obviously technology and all that, what's really changed in the job hunt itself?
Employers, they've gotten a lot more picky, shall we say. Lots of applicants they can afford to be. So those old methods, resumes, job postings, those aren't the magic bullets they used to be.
You're telling me just polishing up the old resume, sending it out, that's not going to cut it anymore.
It's part of the puzzle, sure, but the game's gotten more complex. The nature of work itself is shifting. Temp jobs, part-time gigs, those are on the rise. Full-time roles, not so much. Job seekers need to be, well, more flexible, more adaptable.
It's like you need a whole new skill set just to find a job.
You got it.
And we hear a lot about AI, automation. Is Bowles, is he on that train too?
Absolutely. He's all over it. Man and machine partnerships, he calls it. Tech is changing everything, and the pace is accelerating. Adapting to these new roles, it's not just an option, it's survival.
So how do we even begin to figure out what employers want in this whole new world?
Bolles has a great analogy for this. He says, job hunting, it's like visiting a foreign country.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You got to learn the language, the customs, how to blend in.
So what's the language of employers? What are their customs?
Well, first you got to understand their mindset. There's this disconnect often between job seekers and employers. Job seekers, they often expect employers to take the lead, right? Scout them out, woo them. But most employers, they want to see initiative. They want candidates who come to them, ready to go.
Okay, so how do you take initiative without, seeming desperate or pushy? There's a fine line there.
There is, and Bolles has a strategy for this. He calls it informational interviewing.
Okay, break that down for me.
Simple.
Yeah.
You connect with people in your field, not to ask for a job right off the bat, but to learn from their experience, their insights.
So it's more about building relationships?
Building relationships, gaining knowledge, and you never know. It might just open doors you didn't even know were there. Opportunities that aren't advertised.
Makes sense. Now, about resumes. Bowles, he says something pretty controversial about those.
Controversial is one word for it. He basically says they're not as powerful as we think. Their main purpose is to get you in the door, to the interview, not to land the job itself.
Wait, so all that time we spend agonizing over every bullet point.
It's important, but it's not the end-all be-all. Think of it as a passport. It gets you through customs, but then the real journey begins.
The interview.
Right, the interview. That's where you truly sell yourself.
So what should we focus on in the resume then, if it's just about getting that interview?
Bolles gives some very specific advice on what not to include. For instance, your home address, phone number, especially for women, safety concerns, and all that.
It's 2025, but yeah, still a valid point. What else?
Don't go into these long explanations about past failures, true confessions, he calls them. Focus on your achievements, your strengths. And this might seem counterintuitive, but he says, don't mention any non-obvious disabilities. Let your skills speak for themselves.
So it's about putting your best foot forward, but also protecting yourself.
Exactly. The interview is where you can elaborate, address any concerns. The resume is just a snapshot.
It's like a movie trailer, basically. Get them hooked, then they'll watch the whole film.
That's a good way to put it. Now, speaking of interviews, Bolles reminds us that it's not just one conversation, it's usually a series of them. And there are some key things to keep in mind.
Like what?
Well, you got to understand, there's the spoken question and then there's the unspoken one. What they're really asking, between the lines.
Give me an example.
Like when they ask, tell me about yourself, they don't really want to hear your life story. They're probing for evidence of your skills, your experience as it relates to the job.
It's like a code you have to crack.
In a way it is. And when they say, why should we hire you? They're basically saying, convince me you're not going to be a pain in my neck.
Straight to the point.
Bolles, he's got some great conversation tips for these situations. Don't badmouth your previous employers. That's a big one. Have your elevator pitch ready, who you are, what you bring to the table. And when they ask, why you? Have a clear, compelling answer.
Makes sense. Show them you've done your homework, you understand the position, the company.
And never underestimate the power of asking good questions at the end.
That's something I always struggle with. What makes a good question in an interview?
Thoughtful questions. Questions that show you're engaged, you're curious. It also gives you a chance to gather more information. Is this really the right fit for you? It's a two-way street.
All this is great advice, but I got to be honest, the job market right now, it can feel pretty bleak. Does Bolles offer any hope, any light at the end of the tunnel?
He does. He has this whole perspective on job vacancies that might surprise you. He says there are millions of job openings every month, way more than the net job change figures suggest.
Hold on, how is that possible?
Well, he explains the difference between net change and what he calls the churn. Jobs are constantly being created and eliminated.
So even if the net change is small, there's a lot of movement underneath.
Exactly. He uses this analogy of a dress shop.
Okay, I love analogies. Lay it on me.
So imagine this dress shop starts the month with 100 dresses. By the end of the month, they've sold 95 dresses, but they've also added 50 new ones.
So the net change is only 5 dresses.
But they've actually had 145 dresses come and go throughout the month. That's the churn. And the job market is similar.
Wow, that's actually kind of reassuring. So if there's all this movement, are there other ways to find jobs? Besides the usual, resumes, online applications, all that?
Of course, Bolles talks about the effectiveness of networking, referrals. He even suggests, knocking on doors, approaching smaller companies directly.
Taking initiative, basically.
Exactly. And don't forget about support groups, communities for job seekers, sharing experiences, offering advice, encouragement. That can make a huge difference.
It's a reminder that you're not alone in this.
Exactly. And Bolles, he really emphasizes self-awareness, knowing your strengths, your values, what you want.
This is where his famous flower exercise comes in, right?
Yay, one and only. It's an incredibly powerful tool. It helps you figure out, what do you really want in a career? What's important to you? The flower diagram, it has 7 petals, each one representing a different aspect of yourself.
Okay, walk me through those petals. What are the key areas we should be thinking about?
First one, it's all about the people you like to work with. Their ages, their challenges, their backgrounds, you name it. What's your ideal social work environment?
So it's not just about the work itself, but the people you're doing it with. Makes sense.
Right. Then, second petal, it's your preferred workplace. Working conditions. Are you a corporate type? More of a freelancer? Do you need natural light? A quiet space, it's about the physical environment, the organizational culture, all of that.
It's like, what makes you feel comfortable, productive?
Third petal, it's your skills and talents. What comes naturally to you? What do you love doing? Those hidden talents, the ones that don't always show up on a resume.
Okay, so we're digging deep here.
Fourth petal, this is about your knowledge, your interests. What subjects fascinate you? What are you truly an expert in? Where does your passion lie?
I'm starting to see the flower take shape here.
Fifth petal, salary and responsibility. How much do you need to earn? Are you a leader, a team player, a lone wolf? What are your ambitions?
Ambition is good, but yeah, got to be realistic too.
Sixth petal, location, location, location. Where in the world do you thrive? Big city, small town, beach, mountains.
Some people, they're tied to a place. Others, they're nomads.
And finally, the seventh petal. Your goals, your values. What kind of impact do you want to make? What principles guide you? It's about aligning your career with your purpose, your soul, if you will.
This flower exercise, it sounds pretty intense.
It can be, but it's worth it. It helps you create this whole vision of your ideal career path, not just a job, but a path.
I love that. It's about understanding yourself.
Exactly, and using that understanding to make choices.
Choices about your future, your career.
And speaking of choices, it's important to acknowledge the emotional roller coaster that job hunting can be. Bolles, he doesn't shy away from that.
It's tough. Rejection, uncertainty, it can really wear you down.
He talks about sadness, despair, even depression.
It's real. It's not just about finding a job. It's about your mental health.
And he offers some practical advice for dealing with those feelings.
It's like what? I'm all ears.
Sleep. It sounds basic, but it's crucial. Physical health. Exercise. Get those endorphins going. And, this is important, reframe your negative thoughts. Easier said than done, I know, but it makes a difference. And do things you enjoy. Don't let the job hunt consume your entire life.
Self-care? Right.
Exactly. And if you're really struggling, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Career counselor, therapist, whatever you need.
Sometimes you just need a little extra support.
Absolutely. And remember, your job title does not define you. Your worth It goes way beyond that.
It's so easy to forget that when you're in the thick of it.
Bolles, he encourages us to see this as a time for growth, a time for reflection, for reinvention. It's not just about finding a job, it's about finding yourself.
That's a powerful message. So he's not just saying go get a job. He's saying figure out who you are, what you want, and go after it.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your career destiny. And, he even challenges the idea that you have to find a traditional full-time job.
Really. What else is he suggesting?
Well, he talks about entrepreneurship, freelancing, the gig economy. These are all viable options.
It's like the world of work is changing and we need to change with it.
Exactly. The old rules, they don't always apply anymore.
So if we're going to wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
what are some of the key takeaways from what color is your parachute? What do our listeners need to remember?
That's a great question. Let's condense it down, shall we? Into 10 essential points to keep in mind.
10 commandments of the job hunt. I'm ready.
All right, number 1, the job market, it's constantly evolving. What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. Be adaptable.
Adaptability. Got it. What else?
Don't limit yourself to resumes and online applications. Network, get referrals, think outside the box.
Be proactive.
Number 3, informational interviewing, it's a gold mine. Talk to people, learn from their experience.
Knowledge is power.
Your resume, its job is to get you an interview, not to land the job. Highlight your strengths, tailor it to the role, and keep it concise.
Quality over quantity.
The interview is a conversation, or rather a series of conversations. Read between the lines, prepare your answers, and let your personality shine through.
Be yourself, but also be prepared.
There are more job vacancies than you think. Don't lose hope. Keep searching.
Keep the faith.
Use the flower exercise to figure out what you really want in a career, what's truly important to you.
Self-awareness is key.
Take care of yourself. Job hunting is stressful. Get enough sleep, exercise, eat well, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Mental health matters.
Explore different career paths. The traditional 9 to 5, it's not the only option.
Think outside the cubicle.
And finally, never give up on your dreams. Embrace this time as an opportunity for growth, for reinvention.
Love that. Growth, reinvention.
You are not defined by your job title. Your worth, it comes from within.
That's a powerful message.
Remember that.
I will. So there you have it, folks. 10 essential points for navigating the modern job market. Straight from the wisdom of Richard Nelson Bolles in his book, What Color is Your Parachute? We'll be back in a moment to delve even deeper into this. Stay tuned. All right, so we're back and ready to continue our deep dive into Richard Nelson Bolles' What Color is Your Parachute?
We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's so much more to uncover.
There really is. Bolles packs a lot into this book. It's not just about finding a job. It's about finding your place in the world.
Exactly. And in this next part, we're going to explore some of the more, I guess you could say, unconventional strategies that Bolles recommends, things that might surprise you.
He definitely challenges some of the traditional thinking around job hunting.
So let's jump right in. We were talking about the emotional toll of job hunting before the break. Bolles, he doesn't sugarcoat it.
He doesn't. He acknowledges that it can be a really tough time. Feelings of sadness, despair, even depression, these are all normal reactions. It's not just about updating your resume and sending it out. It's about dealing with rejection, uncertainty. It can really mess with your head.
Absolutely. And that's why he stresses the importance of self-care.
So, what are some of the things he recommends for managing those feelings? Besides, the obvious, like exercise and getting enough sleep.
Well, he talks about the power of reframing your thoughts. Instead of focusing on the negative, try to find the positive. For example, if you get rejected from a job, don't see it as a failure. See it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
It's like changing your perspective.
Exactly. And he also emphasizes the importance of staying connected with people. Don't isolate yourself. Talk to friends, family, join a support group. Sharing your experiences with others can be incredibly helpful.
It's a reminder that you're not alone in this. There are other people going through the same thing.
Absolutely. And sometimes just talking about it can make a world of difference.
Now, Bolles also has some interesting things to say about the whole idea of a career. He seems to think that the traditional model, climb the corporate ladder, work for one company for 40 years, that's kind of outdated.
He does. He talks about the rise of the gig economy, freelancing, entrepreneurship. These are all becoming more and more common.
And he sees that as a good thing.
He does, in many ways. He believes it gives people more flexibility, more control over their lives.
So It's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't have a traditional career path.
Not at all. In fact, he encourages people to explore different options to find what works best for them.
It's about creating your own path,
R-
basically.
Exactly. And he has this great quote. He says, "Work is love made visible." It's about finding something that you're passionate about that gives you a sense of purpose.
I love that. Work and love made visible. So it's not just about paying the bills, it's about finding something that you truly enjoy doing.
Precisely. And he believes that everyone has something to offer, some unique skill or talent that they can bring to the world.
So even if you're feeling lost or uncertain about your future, there's hope.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of figuring out what that unique contribution is and then finding a way to share it with the world.
Now, this whole idea of finding your purpose, your passion, that can feel pretty overwhelming, especially if you're in the middle of a job search and you just need to find something, anything, to pay the rent.
I understand. But Bolles argues that taking the time to figure out what you really want is actually the most efficient way to find a job that you'll love.
Because you'll be more motivated, more engaged, more likely to succeed.
Exactly. And he has a whole process for helping people identify their passions and their skills. He calls it the flower exercise.
Ah, yes, the flower exercise. We talked about this a little bit in the previous segment. It's one of the most well-known parts of the book.
It is. And for good reason. It's a really powerful tool.
So can you give us a quick refresher on how it works?
Sure. The flower exercise is basically a way of taking inventory of yourself, your skills, your interests, your values, your goals. It's all about getting to know yourself better.
And the flower part.
The flower is a metaphor. It has 7 petals, each representing a different aspect of yourself.
Okay, I'm starting to remember this. So, what are the 7 petals?
The first petal is all about the people you like to work with, their ages, their challenges, their backgrounds. What's your ideal social work environment?
So, it's about finding a workplace where you feel comfortable, where you can connect with the people around you.
Right. The second petal is your preferred workplace and working conditions. Do you thrive in a structured corporate environment, or are you more of a free spirit? Do you need a lot of natural light, a quiet space?
Hmm.
It's about understanding the physical and organizational factors that impact your productivity and well-being.
So, it's not just about the work itself, but the environment where you're doing it.
Exactly. The third petal is about your favorite skills and talents. What comes naturally to you? What do you enjoy doing even if you don't get paid for it?
This is where you can really start to uncover those hidden talents, those things that you might not even realize are valuable in the workplace.
Precisely. The fourth petal is your fields of knowledge and genuine interests. What subjects fascinate you? What are you curious about? What do you already know a lot about?
So it's about identifying your areas of expertise, your passions, the things that really get you excited.
The fifth petal is your desired salary and level of responsibility. Are you comfortable leading others, or do you prefer to work independently? What kind of financial rewards are important to you?
This is where you have to be honest with yourself about your ambitions and your needs.
Exactly. The sixth petal is your preferred geographical location. Where in the world do you feel most at home? Big city, small town, beach,
Yeah.
mountains.
This recognizes that our environment can have a huge impact on our happiness and our well-being.
Absolutely. And finally, the seventh petal is your goals and values. What kind of impact do you want to make through your work? What principles guide your decisions and actions? What's important to you?
This is about aligning your career path with your core values, your
Right.
sense of purpose.
Exactly. The flower exercise encourages you to weave all these elements together to create a comprehensive vision of your ideal career trajectory. It's about achieving a deeper understanding of yourself and using that knowledge to make informed decisions about your future.
It sounds like a powerful tool, and I imagine it could be really helpful for people who are feeling lost or stuck in their careers.
It can be. It's a way of taking a step back, reflecting on what's important to you, and then creating a plan for moving forward.
So it's not just about finding a job. It's about finding a job that aligns with your values, your passions, your goals.
Precisely. It's about finding a job that you'll love.
It's a journey, not just a destination.
Well said. And one thing I really appreciate about Bolles, he emphasizes that this journey, it's not always going to be easy. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but that's okay.
It's about resilience, right? Picking yourself up and dusting yourself off.
Exactly. And he reminds us that failure, it's not the opposite of success, it's part of the process. Every setback, it's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to adjust your course.
It's like those setbacks. They're like signposts. They're telling you, hey, maybe this isn't the right path. Maybe there's a better way.
Precisely. And he also encourages us to celebrate our successes, no matter how small they may seem. Each step forward, it's a victory.
It's about recognizing your progress, acknowledging your accomplishments.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources available, people who can help you along the way.
Mentors, career counselors, coaches, support groups.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. And one thing I've learned over the years, sometimes the best advice comes from the most unexpected places. So be open to new perspectives, new ideas. You never know where your next breakthrough might come from.
So it's about being open to possibilities, to new opportunities, to new ways of thinking.
Absolutely. And I think that's really the essence of what color is your parachute. It's about empowering yourself, taking control of your career destiny, and creating a life that you truly love.
It's a powerful message.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think resonates with a lot of people, especially in today's world where the job market is so volatile, so uncertain. People are looking for guidance, for hope, for inspiration.
And Bolles provides that. He
Yeah.
gives us the tools, the strategies, the mindset we need to navigate this new world of work.
He's like a career Sherpa, guiding us through the mountains of job hunting.
I like that analogy because just like climbing a mountain, finding the right career path, it takes effort, it takes determination, and it takes resilience. But the view from the top, it's worth it.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into what colors your parachute, what are some of the key takeaways that our listeners can apply to their own lives? What are the things that they should remember even if they forget everything else?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing is to remember that you have the power to create your own career destiny. You're not a victim of circumstance. You have choices.
Choice is a powerful thing.
It is, and it all starts with self-awareness, understanding your strengths, your values, your passions, your goals. Once you know what you want, you can start to create a plan to achieve it.
And that's where the flower exercise comes in.
Exactly. It's a great tool for helping you get to know yourself better.
And once you know yourself, you can start to connect with the world around you, network, build relationships, explore different opportunities.
And don't be afraid to take risks, to try new things, to step outside of your comfort zone.
Because sometimes the greatest rewards come from the biggest challenges.
Absolutely. And remember, it's a journey. There will be ups and downs along the way. But as long as you keep moving forward, keep learning, keep growing, you'll eventually reach your destination.
Wise words. So there you have it, folks. Our deep dive into Richard Nelson Bolles' What Color is Your Parachute? We hope you found it helpful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit life-changing.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
And to our listeners, remember, the job hunt, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Pace yourself, take care of yourself, and never give up on your dreams. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.